In this lesson, we'll show you how to group and assign clashes. For the sake of example, we'll use the previous clash check that we used, comparing the MEP model versus the structural model. We'll group the clashes in two ways. First, based on proximity, and second, based on identical models. That is, we'll group the clashes where two identical models intersect with one another. So, the first thing that we will do in this process is sort all of our clashes by proximity. To do that, first, click on the first clash that appears in the list. Then, scroll down to the bottom of the clash list, hold the Shift key, and click the last clash. That will select all the clashes. Right-click on your selection and click Sort by Proximity. Once you have all your clashes organized by proximity, you can see the distances, and you can also begin to organize them at this point. Before I get started on that, though, let me rearrange the widths of our different fields so we can see everything a bit better. Okay. There we go. Alright. One way that you can identify the proximity of the different clashes is by using the clash's grid intersection. Based on the grid intersection, we can see that these first three clashes, 22, 10, and 21, are all near each other, so we'll hold down the Control key and select all three. Now we'll right-click on the selection and click the group icon. You can then name the group. We'll just call this one New Group 1. We'll then hold down Control, select the next 5 clashes, and then this time we'll create the group by clicking the Group Selected Clashes icon in the toolbar above our clashes. So that's one way that you can select and group different clashes in your clash check. There's another way, however. If you reduce the height of the clash window in the middle of the clash detective, you can see two selection trees at the bottom of the window. When you click on a particular clash, you can see the two objects that clash and where they're located in the selection trees. You'll notice above each selection tree another group icon, the 3 circles in a bracket. By clicking this icon, in this case associated with item 1, it will create a group of all the clashes that involve item 1, in this case the W12 by 26 flange. If you clicked the icon over item 2, it would group all the clashes that are associated with the rectangular duct. By grouping all the clashes with item 1, we can see that this flange only clashes in the one spot. So now let's scroll down a bit, and we'll try it again with another clash. This time, we'll go with clash 4, and instead of grouping the clashes with item 1, we'll group them with item 2, the rectangular duct. This time, a notice appears, saying that some of the clashes in this group already exist in other groups. When you're running the clash detective, you can only have one particular clash in any given group at any time. For this reason, when you're grouping clashes together, when you're mixing different types of groups the way we're doing, you may sometimes run into conflicts like this. In a situation like this, you'll have to decide, whether you want to keep the conflicting clashes in their original group or move them into your new one. The choice will have to be up to you, but for the purposes of this example, we'll move the clashes into a new group. And as you can see this time, the item that we based our group off of is involved in two more clashes, Clash 1 and Clash 3. This new group that we created essentially contains all the different clashes that rectangular duct is involved in. Once you're satisfied with your grouping, you can assign the clashes. This is a project management tool that allows you to assign responsibility for fixing the clash to a particular member of the project. In this case, if we select New Group 1 and click Assign, a window will appear that will allow us to put in the name or position of the person who is responsible for fixing the clash, as well as any relevant notes to do so. While you can do this clash by clash, you can also assign responsibility for entire groups, saving a considerable amount of time. So for the sake of completion, we'll assign Group 3 to the detailer, and now what we can do is go back up and under Status, rather than having our group labeled as New, we'll set it under Reviewed, since we've looked over it and are now ready for the responsible party to fix the problem. Once again, you can see how useful groups are for labeling a number of different clashes all at once. There's one other tool that can help though. If you highlight or select several clashes all at once, either by choosing Select All or using the Shift or Control selection options, you can change all of the selected statuses at once. We've done that here, changing everything else to active.